Hello, high level listeners. Welcome back. We have a brand new episode format for you today, and it's focused on the IELTS English test. Maybe you know about the IELTS test already. It's a popular, standardized test for people to gain visas or go to university in English speaking countries like the UK, Canada, the US, and others. We know that some of you might be preparing for this exam, so we wanted to teach you some high band vocabulary to help you get a good score in your exam. I am an IELTS teacher. I've been specializing in IELTS for almost 10 years at this point, and I've helped lots of students gain the band that they need to start the next chapter of their lives. In this class, I'm going to show you some vocabulary words about today's topic, and Kat will be there to help me. Kat will be acting like my IELTS student, so you'll have a bit of support going through with you. Today, we're going to look at 6 words on the topic of tea and coffee. Now, tea and coffee sounds like a very casual, everyday topic. And yes, these kinds of topics often appear in the IELTS speaking test. Specifically, this topic is currently being used in exams at the beginning of 2024, and it's in part 1 of the exam. Part 1 questions are usually simple, personal questions about you, your life, your routine, and your habits. So, we will look at other IELTS topics in future videos, and they will be quite specific, sometimes a bit weird and a bit strange. So, maybe you like tea and coffee, but do you know how to talk about it in high band English with high band vocabulary? That's what we're going to help you with today.
As Mark mentioned, I'm here today as the student. Mark is the experienced IELTS teacher. I personally have never taken the IELTS, so I'm learning along with you. So, if you are thinking about taking the IELTS or if you're just learning to expand your vocabulary a little bit more, Mark will guide us both into the next set of vocabulary.
So, the way we're going to approach this vocabulary is using a table. We have the vocabulary table here, and you can see there are 3 columns: taste and smell, actions, and effects. We're going to learn 6 words, and when we know their definition and their meaning, we're going to add them to the table so they can stay organized and you can see the connections between the words. And hopefully, that makes it easier to remember and then to use when you're talking about tea and coffee yourself. So, we're going to introduce a word, and I'm going to ask you, where does it go in the table? Is the word connected to taste and smell? Is the word an action, something you do with coffee? Or is it an effect of coffee? So, how coffee makes you feel, or how tea makes you feel. So, let's have a look at the first word. The first word is bitter. Bitter.
And with my American accent, bitter, bitter.
So, which category does it go to? Is bitter about the taste of coffee? Is bitter something you do with coffee? Or is it an effect of how coffee or tea makes you feel? What do you think?
So I definitely know that the word bitter is something that when I taste something, ooh, it really tastes quite bitter. So I would go with a taste.
Yes, 100%. Well done. Very good. Bitter is about the taste or the smell of coffee. Actually, bitter for some people is not a very nice taste. Some people think that medicine tastes bitter or some really dark chocolate tastes bitter. It is really the total opposite of sweet.
Mhm.
Some people drink coffee and they don't like it. It's too bitter. Do you like the bitter taste of coffee?
I think I definitely do. I usually take my coffee black, so I kind of like the nice taste. But if it's too bitter, then I'm not really going to be enjoying myself. I sometimes like bitter candies, something that's not too sweet, something like a licorice. And a friend of mine showed me a kind of a bitter style of fruit that she likes to cook with. And I was surprised. I kind of liked that too.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm not a fan of bitter candy or bitter sweets like licorice. I can't stand that taste. I don't drink my coffee black either. I put a splash of milk in it as well to reduce that bitter taste. Okay, so bitter goes here. That's our first word. Our second word is brew. Brew.
Brew, brew.
Okay, so which category does this one go in? Is it a taste of coffee? Is it something you do with coffee? Or is it an effect of tea or coffee?
Oh, from looking at the picture, this person looks like they work at a cafe, and it looks like what they're doing is brewing the coffee. So, since they're doing it right now, I would say that brew is a verb and it's an action.
Very good. Well done. Exactly. Brew
Thank you.
is something you do. So I brew coffee every morning, or the cafe down the road brews amazing coffee. So, like you saw in the picture, you can take coffee grounds, add hot water, and as the liquid comes through, you have your delicious coffee fresh in the kitchen or in the cafe. Do you brew coffee at home? Do you have something to make it?
Absolutely. Since this is kind of an upgrade from simply just make some coffee, if we are brewing that coffee, I actually have a machine that brews coffee for me. So it pushes the hot water through the coffee grounds and it what comes out is a nice brew.
Right. Yeah, you made a good point. Brew means make. So brew tea or brew coffee. Um, I like to brew my tea with a tea bag, hot water, and a splash of milk as well. And then I spend 1 or 2 minutes brewing and stirring the cup, take out the bag, and it's ready.
Absolutely. And so if you're brewing something, I really can you we really only do that with coffee and tea. That sort of feels like if you are brewing something, then you put something solid into the water so that the flavor starts to come out. And then you drink the water with the flavor inside of it, right? So we brewed something.
Yeah, you brew coffee, brew tea, brew herbal teas, fruit
Hmm.
teas, any kind of tea. You
Green
brew it.
tea.
uh,
Hmm.
Yeah, right. It's a good one. Yeah, you brew it at home or you go to a cafe where they brew it for you. So, word number three is aromatic. Aromatic.
So aromatic. Aromatic. This is another instance where that T becomes more of a D sound in American English. Aromatic.
Yes,
Aromatic.
I was saying aromatic, but same word, of course. Is this word related to the taste of tea and coffee? Is it an action with tea and coffee, or is it an effect?
I
What do you
really
think?
think of something that is quite aromatic as having a lot of spices, a lot of different smells. And so sometimes when you're brewing a really nice tea with cinnamon, cloves, apples, or if you're brewing a sort of concoction of something that it smells really nice and it just has a really nice smell.
Yes. Right. We're putting this in the taste and smell category in the table. Aromatic is more closely connected to the smell. Aromatic is a nice smell. It's maybe fruit, spices, and oh, that smells really nice. Maybe someone's cooking something in the kitchen or brewing some tea, and you can smell the herbs, the fruit, the leaves. Wow, it's really aromatic. It's really nice.
I think a very wonderfully brewed Indian chai would, oh my goodness, you can smell all the spices. One of my friends, her mom used to put at least 10 or 20 different spices in there that really, and when she brewed it all together, oh, the aromatics were amazing.
Yes. We're using the adjective here. It is aromatic, or it smells aromatic. The noun form is shorter, the aroma. The aroma is the smell. So maybe you open the door, there is a an amazing aroma drifting in from the kitchen. Or when you enter a cafe, the aroma of coffee and the coffee beans, oh, it's so good. It's a really nice aroma.
Definitely an upgrade from just the smell.
Yeah,
Just
right.
the smell of coffee, and you're like, that doesn't sound as nice as, oh, the aroma of coffee." Much more romantic, I think.
Yes, and higher band.
And then better for your test, yes.
Okay, next word is warming. Warming.
Warming, warming.
Okay, the picture is a bit of a clue here. What do you think? Is warming about the taste of coffee, the action, or is it an effect of coffee and tea?
Definitely having a nice hot cup of coffee feels very warming. If I'm quite cold, like it's been quite cold in the morning, coffee really has a warming effect.
Nice, absolutely. It's an effect of tea and coffee. In other words, tea and coffee makes you feel warm. You drink it down, it goes into your body, and oh, you feel warm on the inside, especially if it's cold, rainy, snowy outside. A warming cup of tea can warm you up and make you feel cozy and nice inside.
Can you
Do
tell me
you?
the difference between well my coffee's hot and my coffee is warming. What's kind of the
Ooh,
difference between warm coffee and warming coffee?
right. Yeah, that's a good question. So, hot coffee sounds oh a little bit dangerous. Be careful when you touch it. Oh, that's hot. Or if I give you a coffee, I'm like, okay, careful, it's hot. So hold it here. Don't touch the bottom because it's hot. Warming is a much more pleasant, nice feeling where it's not hot, so you can drink it quite quickly. It doesn't burn you, and it goes inside your chest and your tummy, and you feel really comfortable and really nice. So, warming is totally a positive word for how it makes you feel after you drink it. Another word. The word is sip. Sip. Yes, good sip.
Sip. Sip.
Okay. So again, we need to put it in one of our three categories. Is this the taste of tea and coffee? Is it something you do to tea and coffee? Or is it how tea and coffee makes you feel?
So, since a sip is just a tiny sip, it's something that I'm doing, so it must be an action.
Correct. Very good. You sip coffee. I sip my coffee. And yeah, you were doing it. That wasn't. Was that a sip?
Well, I only have a tiny bit at the bottom, so I can't.
All right, you've got to get in there.
I mean,
Yes,
it's only a tiny bit at the bottom.
sure. So if I sip, I'm going to take a small little drink, just a little bit, just a sip. Sometimes I only have one coffee for 3 or 4 hours. I don't want to drink it quickly because then I have no coffee. If I sip and sip and sip, I can drink my coffee slowly. So if you really want to enjoy it, enjoy the warming effects, enjoy the bitter taste, sip your coffee, sip your tea, and enjoy it. Drink it slowly. So again, this is higher band level word than drink. If
Mhm.
you drink your coffee, I imagine you drink it quite quickly. Sip, you slow down and you enjoy it. Uh, what do you prefer? Do you sip it or do you drink it quickly?
Well, I guess it just depends on how tired I am. If I'm really tired in the morning, I might actually just gulp it down. But if I just want to enjoy the pleasant taste, if I want to enjoy something, then I'll just, oh, that was a good sip. Or if I want to share it with my husband, I might say, just a sip. No, no, not too much, not too much, just a sip. Okay, good, just a sip.
A good drinking word. You can also use it for beer, wine, alcohol. You can sip anything.
Any liquid, yeah.
Yes, any liquid. Okay, this is the last word. Energizing. Energizing.
Energizing. Energizing.
Mm. So again, which category does this word go in? Is this a taste of coffee or tea? Is it an action? Or is it an effect?
Well, coffee gives me energy, and so it feels energizing. I'm gonna say it's an effect.
Perfect. There you go. 6 out of 6. Well done, Kat. Perfect score. Energizing is an effect. So again, the effects column is how tea and coffee makes you feel. The coffee is energizing. Tea can be energizing. Or I drink it because it's energizing. So just as Kat said, it gives me energy. How many coffees do you drink in a day usually?
Well, if I'm quite tired, I'll probably have 2 coffees in a row. And if I'm just having a normal day, a coffee in the morning energizes me until about midday. Then I need to be re energized, and I'll go ahead and have another one in the afternoon. They are quite energizing. I think coffee is way more energizing than having tea.
Mm. Yeah, right. When I drink tea, sometimes I feel the opposite. Tea might make me a bit sleepy.
It's so warming and cozy to drink tea. I think my brain
Mm.
thinks, "Okay, you're having a tea. How warming and nice is that? Why don't you just go to sleep?"
Yeah, it's the opposite. Coffee is energizing. My eyes open wider. I can think faster. I can type faster. I can speak faster. So now you know 6 great high band words to talk about tea and coffee. Let's see some real IELTS answers. I'm going to ask Kat some real exam questions about tea and coffee from part 1 of the speaking test, and she's going to try and use the vocabulary that you saw in the table. She'll read the answer, see if you can listen and hear any of the 6 words from the table. So, Kat, do you like drinking tea or coffee?
Yeah, I actually enjoy drinking coffee more than tea. I find coffee very energizing, which helps me a lot when I have to study or work. I also love the aromatic smell of coffee. It's very comforting, especially on the cold mornings.
Very good. Great answer. Thank you very much. So now we can have a look at Kat's answer. Did you hear any of the vocab? There it is. 2 words. Energizing, aromatic. It's worth looking at the full phrase or the full sentence that Kat used. I find coffee very energizing. It's a great phrase. I also love the aromatic smell of coffee. You could change that to the aromatic smell of tea. You could also use a different word from the taste column, bitter, the bitter taste. So I also love the bitter taste of coffee. Here's the next question. How often do you drink tea or coffee?
I usually drink coffee every day. Even on busy days, I make some time to brew a quick cup. It helps me wake up and feel more alert.
All right, very nice answer again. Did you hear any of the vocabulary from the table? There was one word there, brew. I make time to brew a quick cup. If you remember, brew coffee means make coffee, but we want to impress the examiner using high band vocabulary. So I make time to brew a quick cup. This could be for tea or coffee, actually. Brew a quick cup of tea, brew a quick cup of coffee.
Definitely feeling more alert could probably also go in our vocabulary, helping me feel more alert. When you are awake, you can react to things much faster. So you are alert and you are aware of things that are going on. Without my coffee, I'm definitely not as alert.
Okay, and let's look at one last IELTS question. The last question for Kat is, tea or coffee popular in your country?
Yes, in my country, both tea and coffee are very popular. Many people sip coffee during the day or at work, but for some people, it's too bitter. So they drink tea because it's warming and more relaxing.
Very good. Okay. How many vocabulary words did you hear in that one? Let's have a look. Yeah, Kat used three. Great. This would be a very high band answer, packed with good IELTS vocabulary. The first word was sip coffee. Again, we're saying sip instead of drink. Let's push our level high as we can. Sip coffee during the day. Second word, bitter. She used bitter in the negative way. For some people, coffee is too bitter. They don't like the taste. It's too much. It's too strong. Some people don't like coffee because it's too bitter. I get that. And the last word, warming. So here's the full table one more time. Feel free to write this down in your own notes. We may also make it available as a downloadable thing for you to take and study on your own. You can take a picture on your phone as well. But if you can use some combination of these vocabulary words in your answers about tea and coffee, you should improve the vocabulary score of your band. So instead of saying drink, try sip. Instead of make, try brew. Instead of hot, say warming, things like that.
Teacher,
Yes, Kat. Do you have a question? Yes.
I do. Should I try to use all six of these words in one answer?
Good question. You don't have to use all these words in one answer.
But if I use all the words, then the examiner will think I'm really smart and they'll give me a higher band.
That's a very true. That's very logical. But the idea is to produce vocabulary with what's called an awareness of style. If you look at band 7 of the speaking criteria, awareness of style is needed to get 7 or higher. This means that you are using a conversational style that is familiar, comfortable, comfortable to speak and to listen to. That means using high band words or very descriptive words not too often. Because if you're using high band, high band, high band, high band, it's actually quite tiring and uncomfortable to listen to. The IELTS is to measure your level as a competent English speaker. And being a competent speaker means you're able to communicate clearly and easily. If you are hitting your examiner with complex vocabulary over and over, the level of communication is actually going to decrease in quality. And that's going to harm your assessment as a competent speaker. So don't bash your examiner over the head with all these words.
Okay.
Sprinkle them in, like sugar in a cup of coffee. just sprinkle it in. One, two, or three is the maximum. Don't try and use all of them at once because it's overwhelming and it's actually harder and worse. So, yeah,
I
just
think it
sprinkle it in.
I think it would be more difficult to try to naturally say all 6 of these, even as a native speaker. I think the way
Mm,
that Mark has told us how to use them is a much more natural way of speaking, even if it's in the exam and you feel a little formal in the exam. So I like this way. If I tried to use all 6 in one, I don't think it would sound very natural to a native speaker, which usually your IELTS examiner is, and it would be much more difficult for you to get the band that you want. So, thank
right.
you, Mark, for all of that.
Yes, you're very welcome. Thank you as well for helping me through this lesson. And thank you to all the high level listeners watching on YouTube as well. Here are the same questions that I asked Kat. Now you have these 6 words. Maybe you can use them to answer the same questions. Do you like drinking tea or coffee? How often do you drink tea or coffee? And are tea or coffee popular in your country? You can write your answers in the comments below. I'd love to read them and I'll help you out if there are any mistakes or I can give you any advice about IELTS or English in general.
Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. And I hope you'll join us for more IELTS questions, more IELTS tips, and let us know in the comments if you liked this video.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.